Hi, everyone. I'm here with Michael Bernard Beckwith, a special guest to the Conscious Leadership Program. He is joining me to discuss module number 4, Live in Presence. Michael Bernard Beckwith is the founder and spiritual director of Agape International Spiritual Center in Los Angeles, California. He is a featured teacher in the film and the book, The Secret. In the 70s, he began an inward journey into the teachings of East and West, and today he teaches universal truth principles found in the New Thought, ancient wisdom tradition of spirituality. He is the founder of Agape International Spiritual Center, co-founder of the Association for Global New Thought, AG&T, and the co-chair of the Season for Nonviolence. Gifted with a vision of trans-denominational spiritual community, he speaks to a congregation of more than 9,000 people weekly at the Agape International Spiritual Center. And welcome, Michael, to the Conscious Leadership Masters Program.
It is my joy to be of service. I'm glad to be here with you today.
Awesome. So first, let me share that, as you know, you're a wonderful example of someone living in presence. So we're just delighted that you can be here. I'm going to just jump right in because we've got a good deal of ground to cover and just a little bit of time. So Michael, we are already one with God, each other, and all of life, aren't we? Even though maybe for many people in today's world that might sound foreign.
Absolutely. We're inseparable in the same way that the wave is inseparable from the ocean, or that the sunbeam is inseparable from the sun. Each of us are emanations of the presence, as I like to say, the presence that is never an absence. And so the idea is, in our spiritual technology, we're seeking to eliminate the filters that are preventing us from seeing and participating in this oneness as our paradigm, as our way of living. So absolutely, we're always one with God, one with the presence, one with life, one with love, one with intelligence. We can never be separate from it. That's an impossibility.
So then how do you live into it so deeply as the emanation of the divine that you are? And just, I know I'm asking you kind of a lifetime story here, but how do you live into that fully?
Well, first of all, I have a spiritual practice that also brings me a tremendous amount of joy and peace. So I practice the art and the science of meditation on a daily basis. When I wake up in the morning, I stand up and I go into a deep sense of gratitude for being awake, aware, and alive. I surrender my life to life itself. And then I ask the question, what is my assignment today? Give me the strength and courage to do the assignment that comes to me today. So at the beginning of my day, I'm establishing a vibrational intentionality. And I'm coupling that with a practice of meditation. And then with that, the presence, which is never an absence. I want to say that again. The presence is never an absence. It's omnipresent. It's everywhere present in its fullness. The presence becomes more real to us at times, more real than the very chair I'm sitting on. It becomes the activity, I like to say the activity of our awareness. So those are some of the ways that I lean into it.
It's such a simple concept, and most people even are familiar with the notion of the divine or source being omnipresent, but as we know, it's still a relatively small population of the world, growing, thankfully, but that really gets this and lives into this, which is why you came back to repeat that we're inseparable. Why do you think this is, Michael?
Well, human beings, I've discovered that human beings live in 4 domains. The first domain is self-preservation or survival. The second domain is adaptation. Most of the people of the planet live in those 2 domains. They're either trying to survive, they're in a war-torn country, there's a drought, there's a flood, not enough food. Their first movement is towards survival, taking care of their kids, their family, or adapting to a circumstance. Now, the next domain is called transformation. And this is where you're consciously participating in your own unfolding. Now, the people that are living in the first domains would love to have time to go to a meditation retreat, would love to have time to come to Agape or any other spiritual community, but they can't because their survival depends upon them being diligently available to having what they need to preserve their life or the life of their family. So the smaller part of the population lives in the third domain, transformation. The fourth domain is dissolution. Whenever you have a greater awareness, an insight, a revelation, then old patterns dissolve. So there's a group of people that are living in stages 3 and 4, transformation and dissolution. And we know it's a part of the package, you see. And in that package, you survive and you adapt. But those aren't your primary modes of being in the world. So the people that are in 3 and 4 are lifting the newest sphere, the mental atmosphere, so that the idea that all of us can have enough, all of us can live and have food and shelter and water, a right to education. As we're involved in our transformation, we're embracing the idea of a kind and just global society in which all people are honored and loved and appreciated, can have their basic needs met. So the people in that fourth domain are called, I call them the mighty minority, meaning they're way more powerful than the rest of the people, because a thought that's emerging from a sense of unity is way more coherent than a thought form that's emerging from a sense of separation. So we have to keep doing our work for all of humanity and raising the bar. Jesus the Christ once said, as I am lifted up, I draw all unto me. It's a quantum statement. As we continue to lift ourselves up, we draw the rest of the world's population into the higher frequency. It's a great work that we're called to do.
Beautiful, I'll say, and so necessary. So, Michael, I'm going to bring in part of your book here, your life visioning process, which you articulate in one of your books called Life Visioning, which talks about realizing our highest potential. You share that when you're ready to begin the visioning process, you may pray into these things. I'll go ahead and read these 5 things that start your life visioning process. The first one is, again, this comes out of your book. What is God's highest idea, God's highest vision for me, my relationship, what this is about? What must I become in order to empower this? Third, what must I release? Fourth, what must I embrace? For example, what must I receive? What must I accept are your examples. And then, is there anything else I need to know in this moment? A very powerful process for climbing the ladder and coming into our full potential. Can you talk a little bit about this, because it sounds like just a wonderful model for stepping into our highest potential?
One of the things that I teach is life is basically always answering a question that we're living into. So we want to make sure we're living into empowering questions. So the life visioning process helps us access better questions. So the first question, what is God's idea of itself as my life? Or what is the next stage of my unfoldment? What gift is trying to emerge here? These are all ways of embracing that there's something progressive trying to happen in our life, and we're asking the question around it. Instead of how to get what I think I want right now, we're asking, what is it that's within me that's trying to emerge? And then as we begin to articulate that vision, we ask, what is it that I must become in order to manifest that vision? That's our growing edge. We can't have anything we're not willing to become vibrationally. So sometimes you may ask that question and you may get an answer. You need to become more loving. You need to become more self-loving, kind, generous. You need to perfect this skill. You need to perfect that skill in order to embrace the vision that's trying to happen. And then I like to ask the question, what is it that we already have in our house, in our consciousness, that can be used to serve the vision that we're now learning to manifest? This is a very important question, because oftentimes people are running out into the world trying to do something, but the feeling tone that they're carrying is lack. I don't have enough of this and I don't have enough of that. And so we want to walk out into the world feeling that we have. And then we understand the age-old law as it states scripturally, to he or she who has, more is given. To he or she who has not, even that which they have shall be taken away. So we ask, what is it that I have? What do and how can I embrace it? so that I begin to articulate my resources so that I walk with the feeling of having. And then the law manifests much easier for us. And of course, you mentioned, what do I need to let go of? What doesn't serve me anymore? These are all very important to clearing the decks so that the question we're asking, what is it that's trying to emerge in my life, can begin to come through us. Why? Because we become a vibrational match for it. It cannot not happen because we become a match for it vibrationally.
Yeah, I love that. Cannot not happen. Beautiful, Michael. And living in presence too. A lot of people, we can, in a church environment or spiritual environment, of course, we can feel into that. But you talk about Success 3.0, where it's in a business environment. We're talking to business leaders about living in presence in the way that they vision their company, lead their company, manage their company, et cetera. Do you want to say a word about that?
Oh, absolutely. I talk about success 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. 1.0 is I get rich. I do everything that I can to appease my acquisitive appetite, and I become wealthy. I become rich according to the world standards. That's 1.0. That's an old paradigm that surfaces in America with the American dream. It's sometimes become a nightmare of consumerism and materialism. Getting success 2.0 is I get rich and become a philanthropist. I get rich and I find charities and spiritual communities that I want to serve and give to so that they can assist in making, renewing the world in a much better way. Now, Success 3.0 is built into my business plan, is my give back. I don't wait until I get to some mystical number out there. When I have so much money, I'll start to give back. No. We don't delay it. Built into the business plan is the give back. So that if your thing is trees, built into the business plan is out of the dollars that come in, a profit, you start to plant trees, or you start to give to organizations that plant trees. If your thing is the foster care system, if your thing is the legal system, if your thing is spirituality, you find organizations or people that are supporting that. You put it in the business plan, because what I discovered dealing with a lot of wealthy people is that when they get that mystical number of 100 million or 500 million, whatever, it becomes very difficult for them to write big checks. They're so identified themselves with money that it almost breaks into a cold sweat. They have to write a check for $100,000, $500,000, even though it's not going to do that much to their net worth. It's just difficult. They'll write 25,000 or 10,000. But if you build it in as a part of your habit, then when you start making more and more money, that which the part of the planet that you want to serve, more and more money goes to that part while you're still making profit. You're still keeping your business solvent, but your business now belongs to the community. It belongs to the world. It belongs to God. It's a vehicle for transformation. That's Success 3.0.
Yeah, beautiful. Boy, and may Godspeed to Success 3.0. It's what we're committed to here in the Humanities team. Beautifully stated. And what a powerful vision, Michael. Okay, any final call to action to these conscious leaders that are coming in from all over the world and that are devoted to planetary awakening, living into the unity of all of life, and developing their fullest potential as leaders?
I think we covered a lot of material, but these individuals are leaders. So one of the roles of a leader is to build more leaders. I often say at Agape that I'm not here to build followership. I'm here to build leadership. And so that, as you indicated at the beginning of the program, we want the people that we influence, we want them to come to know themselves as leaders, not followers. That what they follow is the inner word, the inner guidance. They follow their intuition. They follow the spirit within. But then they become leaders and ambassadors of that energy. And so if we could anoint and deputize people to be leaders in their field of excellence, then the individuals begin to glow with enthusiasm of the inner voice that they're following, but the action that they're taking as leaders. This is very important. I tell people at Agape all the time, I see you as leaders. Go out and be leadership in excellence. I don't care if you're washing dishes. Let no one wash those dishes better than you. You know, whatever you're called to do, be a leader of excellence in it.
All right, beautiful. And that'll be the last word. So an illumination, stepping out just in that inner glow, with that inner guidance, with that inner leadership. Beautiful. Michael, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us here in this Conscious Leadership Program. A total privilege and pleasure.
Absolutely my joy. Please keep up the good work.
Thank you. Well, namaste, and as you say, peace and blessings here. Wonderful to be with you, Michael.
Thank you so much.